Sports YouTube. We are joined now by the head coach, the men's basketball coach at SMU. Rob Lanier joins us as, again, basketball season ended last night, but it's never over, it seems like to me. Rob, thanks for your time. Your thoughts about, if you don't mind, we'll start with the game last night and the way that the season ended with that incredible finish between Kansas and North Carolina.
You want to know the truth? I didn't see that much of it. It's been such a whirlwind for me that I had a couple new staff members and we were moving into a new Airbnb and we got in there and the TV wasn't working. And so we were trying to watch it on our phones inside the place once we figured out how to get the Wi-Fi on. And eventually we wound up seeing the end of the game on the iPad. And what we did see was exciting. And what I thought was interesting was looking at the crowd and seeing the quality of the game and the excitement of it. There's so much talk about the changing landscape of college basketball, NIL, transfer portal. But, man, college basketball is still very much alive and well. Watching that game and seeing that crowd, it's exciting to be a part of college basketball.
Coach, what was the big draw for SMU for you in making that jump?
Well, I spent 6 years in the state at University of Texas, so I had a level of familiarity with the program and with the city. And so my family and I have always had an affection for the state. I've always thought that this place was unique because in my experience in the South, and I spent 8 years in the SEC, and I think there's a difference between the way people are attracted to college sports in college towns or states that don't have professional sports. And I think there's a unique blend of passion around SMU athletics while in the midst of a great, great city like Dallas with professional sports. And you normally don't get that combination of college passion and professional sports in the same city. And I've always been attracted to that about SMU.
Coach, I know you haven't even had time, as you just mentioned, to even really kick up your feet and watch TV at this point. You've been so busy, but where do you kind of start? How do you start laying that groundwork? What are the first steps in your opinion?
Yeah, I think early, as much as you can, trying to get to know the players and spend as much time as you can with them within reason, and trying to put a staff together with that same idea in mind. Is really trying to get to know the young people, and then everything else is happening concurrently. Like you have to recruit while you're doing that, and you have to, eventually try to find a place to live and learn your way around campus and meet people who are important on campus, and meet people who might not be on campus but are really important to the university, and trying to build and forge those relationships. So there's a lot of things happening at once, but it's all very exciting.
Rob, what makes it? Does the transfer portal make it easier or more difficult when there's a transition?
It depends on what circumstances you're walking into. You could be in a situation where you wind up going in and losing all the guys that are there because of the turnover, right? Or you could find yourself in a situation where there's some core players there, and you've got an opportunity to add to that. And I think every coach that's going into a new situation right now is going to be experiencing any number of circumstances along those lines. And we're hopeful that some of the core players here will feel good about what we're doing and want to be here, and that our task would be to try to add to that. And so far that's been the case, but you've had to prepare for surprises in this landscape, and there's plenty of them. We haven't had any of them here yet, and we're hopeful that things kind of remain steady.
Well, Coach, you're walking to a team that was 24-9, so this is not like you said, it could be a rebuild tomorrow morning when you wake up, because that's how college basketball works. But you are a program that's set pretty well going in, and there's momentum that has to be attractive when you are looking at jobs.
Yeah, you know what? I think, and it's more than just, all right, how did the team do in a given season, but also the overall commitment to the program's success, and that's where the real value is. There's a reason why, you can get a really good coach like Tim Jankovic, because of the commitment that is made to the basketball program here. So that makes it attractive. So it's no coincidence that they've been well coached, and certainly like even being in the gym working with the guys. Like, these guys have been well coached. They pick things up quickly. A lot of the concepts and terminology, they understand right away. So you can cut to the chase on some things, because guys have a feel for what goes into winning and what good basketball looks like.
Coach, Houston took home the AAC title this year, then had a great run in the tournament. Kelvin Sampson's obviously doing an awesome job, and I know there is going to be a transition, because there are going to be some American schools that leave sooner rather than later. But in terms of what you're walking into initially, Memphis and Houston and UCF and all these teams, how much do you know, or how much maybe have you paid attention to American Athletic Conference basketball as of late?
Yeah, I follow it. It's a great league, and some of the programs that have been in it or were in it when UConn was there, I obviously followed UConn and Temple, because I've spent so much of my career in the Northeast, and then just great programs across the board. I've got the ultimate respect for Coach Sampson, and he's one of the guys I've always looked up to in the profession. There's so many good coaches, so many good programs, and so many good markets where these programs are located. And I thought that was one of the special things about this league. Cities like Houston and Dallas and Memphis and Philadelphia, et cetera, I think make the league unique as it's currently constituted. And that's one of the things that has made it really interesting to follow for me.
Rob, the state of Texas, really back in the 80s when I was much younger and started covering the state tournament, the UIL state tournament, and you were right there in the middle of it when you were at Texas. You know what I'm talking about. But it has exploded. The talent in Texas is amazing around the country. I know you want to find talent wherever you can get it, but how much is right there in your backyard in the Dallas and Fort Worth area?
Yeah, it's remarkable. I think throughout the state, and I've always said this, I'm not just saying it because I'm here. It's one of the reasons why I'm here, is that I think in the sport of basketball, there's no state better than Texas. From top to bottom, when you go grassroots, high school, travel ball, college, NBA franchises, 3 quality NBA franchises. I don't know if the fan support throughout the state is the most passionate as it compares to maybe Kentucky or Indiana, places like that. But in terms of talent, coaching, at every single possible level of basketball, I don't think there's anywhere better than Texas. And the talent throughout the state is remarkable, and it's only gotten better. You can build a great program with Texas players as the foundation of your program, and certainly that would be our intention.
Rob, the fact that you were at Texas, Rick Barnes, who's had the great run at Tennessee and also had the one at Texas, what did you learn? What did you learn from him?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was a young coach, and I've said this from day one, that got a great opportunity to be a head coach at age 32, really before I was ready. There's a lot of great coaches at that age, but I wasn't one of them. And one of the things that I learned from him is how important it is to do right by the people who work for you. To really, as a leader, that you are serving the people that you work with, not the other way around. And I've never been around a person who gets more satisfaction out of doing things for other people unsolicited than Rick Barnes. One of the best people I've ever met in my life, who's done more for me than he can possibly imagine. And I've seen it over and over and over, how much he goes out of his way to do things for other people. And I think it has a lot to do with the loyalty that so many of us who've worked for him have for him, and love that we have for him. And I think as I've gotten older and more mature, I've learned that all of this is not about me. And for a long time, I thought it was all about me. And that's probably the biggest lesson I learned from being around him, especially the second time around.
You when you were there the second time around, and I know that you're going to recruit the hell out of against everybody else in the state of Texas and everyone else for talent, but what are your thoughts since you saw it close and personal, what Baylor has been able to do, where Scott Drew was when you were the assistant the second time around and where they are now?
Yeah, I think that's just historic. I mean, it happens to be in this state that he did it, but what he did, because I was there, my first go around was, I saw what it was. And where he took it, I mean, I think we'd all be hard pressed to find an example of something remotely close to what the transformation that he's created. So I've got the utmost respect for Scott and the staff, Tang, and everybody who's been associated with that program. It's just remarkable. It's just a remarkable story. It's historic.
Why do the best basketball coaches come out of New York City?
Well, you know what? I don't know, but I'm not from New York City myself, so unfortunately, I can't make that distinction. But I was born in Manhattan, raised in Buffalo, New York. But there has been some good ones, and obviously, you know, New York is famous for being an area where it's so competitive, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
Rob Lanier is the most famous Lanier to come out of St. Bonaventure. And I did not know this, Rob, until I looked it up, that Bob's your cousin, the great Bob Lanier, who I'm old enough to remember those days. He was amazing. So you've got some of that in your lineage, right, in your blood.
I do. You know, I didn't grow up with Bob.
Right.
I didn't grow up around Bob, but my father and his father were brothers. So his first cousins. It's not like some remote, you know, connection there. But great man, great player. I love all his stories. And you know, when I got a little bit older, I got a chance to get to know him. And so that's been neat. And he's a special person and obviously a great figure in the game historically. So it is cool being associated with.
Are you having fun right now, even though you're trying to figure out the Airbnb and cable and all that, or whatever they call it these days?
You know what? This morning when we got up, me and my assistant, so I got this Airbnb so we could just all crash there and like hang out together. And when we were getting in the car to come here, I was like, "Where are we going? We're going to SMU this morning." Like, is Ashton Kutcher going to like show up and like say that this is a prank? Like, this is really unbelievable. It really is. I find myself pinching myself and asking my wife, like, is this really happening? I'm so excited. I'm having a blast. To answer your question, this is it's been awesome, and I can't wait to get the rest of our staff here so we can enjoy it and our families can enjoy it together and get to work, because I'm really confident about what we're going to be able to do.
Rob, thank you for your time. Congratulations on the opportunity at SMU.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Rob Lanier, SMU men's basketball coach. Was it Texas a couple of different times? Siena as a head coach, Georgia State recently, and now the head coach. We had Tim Jankovich on. He was fantastic about, 3-4 weeks ago, right before the tournament. And, yeah, they were left out of it.
We had Coach Jankovich on, and he was really good. And then when he retired, I remember looking at this picture, and it said, he's in his 60s, and I was like, well,
no, never thought of that.
Yeah, I never thought that.